Hi everyone, Adrian Priddle at Results Catalyst here. Welcome back to the second in our series on trust in managing virtual teams. This one we'd like to talk to you a bit about the leader's role and the manager's role in how we build trust and how we manage in a way that maintains trust and cultivates it over time. Going to talk in a moment to my friend Anne Jones, get some of her tips from her experience again, as we did on the first video. But first of all, I want to raise your attention to an article that Harvard Business Review recently published. It was called Everything Starts with Trust, and it contains some really interesting points. It was written by two authors, Francis Frey and Anne Morris, and they looked at 3 points of trust, or 3 things in a triangle that created it. Authenticity, logic, and empathy. Authenticity, how authentically do we come across? Is it the genuine you? Do people get that feeling that it's a genuine you? I suppose that might well have ways in which we can feel predictable and reliable within that as well, because I start to know who you really are, how much do you really care, those sort of things. Secondly, logic. How sound is your reason and your judgment? Your ability to use the facts, to bring in the data that's required, and then to come up with sensible, good judgments that I can understand. And then finally, empathy. Empathy is about our relationship with each other. How much do you understand what it's like for me? How much do you care about what it's like for me? And is that a two-way thing between us? So I really recommend you have a read of that article. I'm going to put a link to it with this video here. I think it's a really good example of thinking about trust and its role in leadership. So now let's get some views from Anne Jones, from her experience, on tips she would give to leaders and managers of virtual teams in today's world. So just thinking about things as a leader then, Anne, when you're leading those teams, in order to build trust in the team, to build their trust in you, your trust in them, you know, that two-way piece, what do you think are the main bits of advice that you'd give to leaders of virtual teams?
I think it's really important that we remember that trust is a two-way street. We have to trust our teams and they have to trust us. So for me, it's fundamental that we do what we say, that we say what we do, and that we follow through on everything that we say we're going to do for our team. So if we say we're going to contact them on a Wednesday, we need to contact them on a Wednesday. If we say we're going to be giving them feedback on a particular piece of work, we need to do that. We need to notice the little things that they do. So if they've handled a call really well, if something hasn't come to you when it might have done, because they've dealt with it, we need to notice that and appreciate it. And that way, when we need to have the bigger conversations, maybe the deadlines that have been missed or the report that isn't quite how we want it, then we can have those conversations because we've built that level of noticing and that expectation that that feedback will come.
So something in there about catching people doing things right, even when it's small.
Yes.
So that when they're not, you're able to have that conversation about things that need to be better.
Absolutely. I think it's partly about enabling people to repeat behaviours when we're not there, because in a virtual environment, so much of what we do, we're not there for.
Yeah.
So actually, when we notice them doing things right, we want them to be repeating that even when we're not looking.
Yeah.
And we also want to make sure that we're setting the work for when actually those relationships do come under strain, or we have difficult messages that we need to communicate, and when those kinds of things are happening. There's a little bit of both of those things going on there for me.
Well, that was great. Thanks, Anne, for those. There's some really good points in there. 3 things that really spring to mind for me. Firstly, that actually trust is a two-way thing. And so you have to create the trust in you and you give trust to them. It has to work both ways round. If it doesn't work both ways round, actually it's not trust. Second thing, say what you do what you say. Actually carry out the promises that you give to people and make sure they are getting what you promised them when you promised it to them. Finally, and I really love this one, catch them doing little things, catch them doing the right things, catch them doing the small things, as well as catching moments where we could improve and do better. We spend so much time on the latter, but actually trust can be built by catching the things where people do it right, so that when we have to talk about the things as well, where things haven't gone so well, we're able to have that conversation. Thanks very much for your attention today. Look forward to seeing you on the third one, where we were going to be talking about authenticity and looking at this word we've used today and has come up in the model on Everything Starts with Trust, and trying to think about how do we do that in a way that lets people know our genuine self. Thanks a lot. Links will be in the video. Look forward to seeing you next time.